They said my wedding was just a trivial event, until they called begging about the $300,000 loan I was guaranteeing. I'm Sarah, and this is how I learned that sometimes the people who take you for granted are the ones who need you most. Growing up, I was always the responsible one. While my younger sister Emma got designer clothes and dance lessons, I was working part-time jobs at 15 to help with family expenses. When Dad's business struggled during the 2008 recession, I deferred college for 2 years and worked full-time to keep our house from foreclosure. When Emma wanted to go to an expensive private university, I took out student loans to help cover what scholarships didn't. The pattern was clear. Sarah sacrifices, Emma shines. I never minded it, really. Emma was beautiful, charismatic, everything a younger sister should be. She had this way of lighting up a room that I admired. Mom and Dad's faces would beam whenever she walked in, and I told myself that my role was to support that brightness. I was the steady one, the reliable one, the one who made sure everyone else could pursue their dreams. By 30, I had built a solid career in accounting, saved diligently, and found love with Michael, a kind engineer who understood my family dynamics without judgment. When we decided to get married, I was genuinely excited to share this milestone with the people who mattered most. I had supported everyone else's big moments. Surely they would be there for mine. The wedding planning consumed 8 months of careful budgeting and preparation. Michael and I chose a beautiful venue, planned a menu that accommodated everyone's dietary restrictions, and sent save the dates 6 months in advance. I specifically asked Mom about Dad's work schedule and Emma's graduate school calendar to ensure everyone could attend. They all confirmed they'd be there. I handled every detail myself. The deposits, the vendor communications, the guest management, everything. Michael's family offered to help with costs, but I insisted on maintaining independence. This was our day, funded by our hard work and savings. I wanted to prove that the responsible daughter could create something beautiful without being a burden. The venue was perfect. A historic garden estate with string lights and white roses. The guest list was intimate. 50 people who truly mattered to us. I had chosen Emma as my maid of honor, despite our complicated dynamic. I genuinely wanted her there, standing beside me as I started this new chapter. 3 weeks before the wedding, as I was addressing invitations for the rehearsal dinner, my phone rang. It was Mom, and her tone was different, distant, almost formal. "Sarah, honey, we need to talk about your wedding." My heart skipped. "What about it? Is everything okay?" "Well, your father and I have been discussing it, and we've decided we won't be able to attend." The words hit me like cold water. "What do you mean you can't attend? You've known about this date for 8 months." "It's just that, honestly, sweetheart, it seems like such a trivial event. You're 30 years old, living together already. It's not like it's a real milestone. We don't see the point in making a big fuss." I gripped the phone tighter. "A trivial event? Mom, it's my wedding. How is that trivial?" "Don't take it personally. It's just that Emma has real accomplishments to celebrate. Her graduate program, her engagement to David. Now that's going to be a proper wedding. David's family has connections, real society people. Your little garden party just seems so unnecessary." The comparison stung, but what hurt more was the casual dismissal. Emma's engagement to David, the son of a prominent real estate developer, had been announced just 2 months earlier. Suddenly, that was the family's focus. The real wedding worth attending. "I've already paid for everything, Mom. The venue, the catering, the flowers. It's all arranged around this date." "That's your choice, Sarah. We just don't want to waste our time on something that doesn't really matter. Honestly, at your age, maybe you should have just gone to the courthouse." When I told Emma about the conversation, hoping she might advocate for me, her response was even worse. "Sarah, you have to understand their perspective. Your wedding is sweet and all, but it's not exactly the social event of the season. David's family moves in important circles. Mom and Dad need to focus their energy on connections that matter for our future." "Connections that matter? What about supporting your sister?" "You're being dramatic. It's one day. You'll take some pictures, have some cake, and life goes on. Stop trying to make everything about you." The phone calls to other family members yielded similar responses. Aunt Margaret awkwardly mentioned that Mom had told everyone the wedding was very casual, nothing special. Uncle Rob said he'd gotten the impression attendance was optional since Sarah doesn't really care about these things. I realized my parents had actively discouraged attendance, framing my wedding as an inconvenience rather than a celebration. The message was clear. Sarah's milestones don't matter. Despite everything, I held on to hope until the morning of the wedding. Maybe they would surprise me. Maybe they would realize how much this meant and show up anyway. I kept glancing at my phone, waiting for a text saying they were on their way. The ceremony was beautiful, but the empty seats in the front row were impossible to ignore. Michael's family filled their section completely. Parents, siblings, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins, all beaming with joy. On my side, there were gaps that everyone noticed. "Where's your family?" asked Mrs. Patterson, one of our neighbors. "They couldn't make it," I replied, forcing a smile. "Oh no, is everything all right? Is someone sick?" They had other commitments. Throughout the reception, I fielded similar questions. Each explanation felt like swallowing glass. Michael's best man even pulled him aside to ask if there was some family emergency we weren't discussing. The absence was so obvious that it became a topic of whispered conversations. Michael held my hand during our first dance and whispered, "We're creating our own family now. Their loss is my gain." I nodded, but inside I felt hollow. This was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, and instead I felt abandoned by the people who should have loved me most. The next morning, scrolling through social media while still in my wedding dress from the night before, I saw Mom's Facebook update, a carousel of photos from Hawaii. Crystal blue water, tropical drinks, family selfies on the beach. The timestamp showed they had flown out the day before my wedding. Not only had they skipped my wedding, but they had actively planned a vacation during it, and they hadn't gone alone. Emma, David, and his parents were all there, smiling in matching resort wear. The caption read, "Perfect family vacation with the people who matter most. Sometimes you just need to prioritize what's truly important in life." Family first. Paradise das quality time. The comments were even worse. Family friends who I thought might have questioned my parents' absence from my wedding were instead liking and commenting on their vacation photos. "Looks amazing! You all deserve this. Such a beautiful family!" I screenshot everything before I could stop myself. The evidence of their deliberate choice was now permanently saved in my camera roll. They hadn't missed my wedding due to some emergency or scheduling conflict. They had chosen to be elsewhere, and they had chosen to make it public. That afternoon, as Michael and I sat in our honeymoon suite trying to process what had happened, I started thinking about practical matters. Our joint finances, insurance policies, emergency contacts, all the administrative details of married life that needed updating. That's when I remembered something that made my blood run cold. 3 years earlier, when Dad's business was expanding and Emma was starting her graduate program, they had needed capital for a new venture. Emma wanted to open a boutique consulting firm, leveraging David's family connections. The loan was substantial, $300,000, and the bank required a co-signer with excellent credit and stable income. I had co-signed without hesitation. It was family, and Emma's business dreams deserved support. The monthly payments were automatically drafted from my account, and I had honestly forgotten about the arrangement in the chaos of wedding planning and starting married life. But now, sitting in that hotel room, looking at photos of my family enjoying their Hawaiian vacation instead of celebrating my marriage, I realized something crucial. I had complete control over that loan, not just as a co-signer, but as the primary financial guarantor. The bank had structured it that way because of my superior credit score and employment history. I pulled out my laptop and logged into my banking portal. There it was, the automatic payment scheduled for the 15th of each month. $2,147.50, withdrawn from my checking account without fail for 36 months. I had never missed a payment, never been late, never questioned the arrangement. For 3 years, I had been quietly funding Emma's business venture while she built her life with David. The same business that was now thriving, generating the income that allowed her to vacation in Hawaii instead of attending my wedding. I stared at the screen for a long time, thinking about patterns and choices and the weight of being taken for granted. Michael noticed my expression and asked what was wrong. I just realized something, I said slowly. My family doesn't just dismiss my feelings. They depend on my money. The loan documentation was clear. I wasn't just a cosigner providing backup security. I was the primary payer. Emma's name was on the paperwork, but my accounts were funding her dreams. And in 7 days, the next payment would be due. For the first time since this whole ordeal began, I felt something other than hurt. I felt power. I closed the laptop without changing anything. Not yet. But as I watched the Hawaiian sunset through our hotel window, I started planning what would happen when my phone rang in exactly 1 week. They thought my wedding was trivial. Let's see how trivial they found their loan payments. I didn't have to wait long. Exactly 7 days after the Hawaii photos appeared on Mom's Facebook, my phone rang at 8:47 a.m. Dad's name flashed on the screen, and for a moment, I considered letting it go to voicemail, but I wanted to hear this conversation happen in real time. "Hi, Dad," I answered, keeping my voice neutral. "Sarah, thank God you picked up. We have a serious problem." His voice was tight with panic, completely different from the casual dismissal he'd used when discussing my wedding. "What kind of problem?" "The loan payments haven't been made. The bank called yesterday saying we're past due, and if we don't get caught up immediately, they're going to start foreclosure proceedings on the house. Emma's business account is frozen until this gets resolved." I took a slow sip of my morning coffee, watching Michael read the newspaper at our kitchen table. Our kitchen table in our first home as a married couple, filled with wedding gifts we were still unpacking. "I'm sorry to hear that, Dad. That does sound stressful." "Stressful? Sarah, this is catastrophic. Emma's business could collapse. We could lose the house. I don't understand how this happened. You've never missed a payment before." The assumption was breathtaking. Even in crisis, he simply expected me to handle their financial obligations without question or acknowledgement. "Well, I've been busy lately," I said carefully. "Getting married, you know. That trivial event I mentioned." There was a pause. I could practically hear him processing the connection. "Sarah, honey, about the wedding. We can discuss that later. Right now, we need to focus on this loan situation. Can you transfer the payment today?" "Actually, we'll need 2 payments since we're behind, plus late fees. Probably close to $6,000 total." $6,000 is quite a lot of money, Dad." "I know, sweetheart, but this is an emergency. You understand how important this is, right? Emma's entire future is at stake. The business she's worked so hard to build." I thought about Emma's Instagram stories from Hawaii. Spa treatments, private beach dinners, shopping excursions with David's mother, all funded by a business that I had been quietly supporting for 3 years. "Dad, can I ask you something?" "Of course, but can we make this quick? The bank needs an answer today." "When you were planning your Hawaii vacation, did it occur to you that the dates overlapped with my wedding?" Another pause, longer this time. "Sarah, I really don't think this is the time to—" "Because I'm looking at the photos right now. Beautiful family vacation with Emma and David's parents. The caption says it was all about spending time with people who matter most. I'm just curious about the timing." "Listen, we can talk about the wedding later. Right now, Emma's business is funded by loan payments that come directly from my bank account every month." "Yes, I'm aware." The silence stretched uncomfortably. When Dad spoke again, his tone had shifted from panic to something approaching contrition. "Sarah, you know we appreciate everything you do for the family." "Do I know that?" "Because 3 weeks ago you told me my wedding was a trivial event not worth your time. Last week you posted photos from a vacation you took instead of attending said trivial event. And now you're calling me because you need money." "It's not like that." "It's exactly like that, Dad. For 3 years I've been making loan payments for Emma's business. Not once has anyone thanked me. Not once has anyone even acknowledged that I'm the one funding her success. But the moment those payments stop, suddenly I'm the most important person in the family." Michael looked up from his newspaper, raising an eyebrow. He'd heard pieces of this story, but was now witnessing the confrontation in real time. "We do appreciate you," Dad said, but his voice lacked conviction. "You know you're important to us." "Important enough to attend my wedding?" "Sarah, please. We can work through our family issues later. Right now, I need you to transfer that payment. Emma is beside herself. She's worked so hard on a business funded by my money. It's a family investment. We're all in this together. Are we? Because when I needed family support 3 weeks ago, you were booking flights to Hawaii. The conversation was going exactly as I had imagined it would. Dad was scrambling, trying to separate the financial emergency from the emotional issues, not understanding that they were inextricably linked. "Look," he said, his voice taking on a pleading quality I'd never heard before. "I know we hurt your feelings about the wedding. We can talk about that. But right now, we need to focus on saving Emma's business and our house." Our house that I helped save from foreclosure in 2008? Yes, exactly. You see how we're family? We help each other, except when it comes to showing up for weddings. "Sarah, you're being petty. This is bigger than one day." And there it was. Even in desperation, he still couldn't acknowledge that my wedding mattered. It was still just one day, still petty to care about it. I looked at Michael, who nodded almost imperceptibly. We had discussed this possibility during our honeymoon, and he had been completely supportive of whatever decision I made. "Dad," I said, my voice calm and clear, "I need you to listen very carefully." "I'm listening." "Don't contact me about trivial matters." The silence that followed was absolute. I could hear his breathing, could practically feel his confusion through the phone. "What?" "You called my wedding trivial. You said it wasn't worth your time or attention." "Well, this loan payment seems pretty trivial to me, too. Don't bother me with trivial matters." "Sarah, you can't be serious. This isn't the same thing." "Isn't it? You taught me that some things are too unimportant to deserve attention. I'm just applying your lesson." "This could ruin us." Funny how quickly trivial things become important when they affect you directly. I hung up before he could respond. The phone started ringing again immediately. I declined the call. Then it rang again. And again. After the 5th attempt, I turned it off completely. Michael set down his newspaper and walked over to me. "How do you feel?" "Terrified," I admitted, "and powerful, and sad, and relieved." I laughed shakily. "Is it possible to feel everything at once?" "After what they put you through, I think you're allowed to feel however you want." The next few hours were chaos, even with my phone turned off. Emma started calling Michael's phone, then my work number, then my best friend Amanda, asking her to intervene. Each call was more desperate than the last, but the message was always the same. Sarah needed to fix this immediately. When I finally turned my phone back on that evening, I had 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. The progression was fascinating to watch. Dad's messages started angry, moved to bargaining, then to outright begging. Emma's texts were initially indignant, then confused, then panicked. The most telling message came from Mom. "Sarah, I don't understand why you're being so dramatic about this loan situation. You've always been the responsible one. Please don't let your hurt feelings about one little disagreement affect the whole family's future." One little disagreement. That's how she characterized missing my wedding to vacation in Hawaii. But the message that made me laugh out loud was from Emma. "I can't believe you're being this selfish. My business could fail because you're having a tantrum about a party." A party. After 3 years of funding her business, my wedding was a party and my hurt was a tantrum. I showed the messages to Michael, who shook his head in amazement. "They still don't get it," he said. "No, they don't, and I don't think they ever will." Over the next 3 days, the pressure intensified. Aunt Margaret called, saying she didn't understand what was happening, but that I should be the bigger person and help my family. Uncle Rob left a voicemail suggesting that I was cutting off my nose to spite my face. The most manipulative attempt came from David's mother, Patricia, who called to say she was concerned about the family dynamics and thought Emma was too delicate for this kind of stress. She suggested that I was causing unnecessary drama during what should be a happy time for the young couple. I nearly laughed. Patricia's son's future mother-in-law was calling me to protect Emma from the consequences of her own family's choices. On Thursday, Emma herself showed up at my office. Security called to ask if I wanted to see her, and I almost said no. But curiosity won. She looked terrible. Her usually perfect makeup was smudged, her hair was unwashed, and she was wearing sweatpants, something I'd never seen her do in public. "Sarah, please," she said the moment she sat down. "You have to help us." "I don't have to do anything, Emma." "My business is going to collapse. 3 years of work down the drain because you're mad about a wedding." "I'm not mad about a wedding. I'm done being taken for granted by people who think I don't matter." "You do matter. You know you matter." "Do I?" "Because your actions suggest otherwise." She started crying then, real tears that smeared her mascara down her cheeks. "I'm sorry we missed your wedding, okay? I'm sorry. Is that what you want to hear?" "What I wanted was for you to be there, but you chose Hawaii instead." "It wasn't about choosing. David's parents planned this trip months ago. It was important for our future together." "More important than supporting your sister?" "You don't understand the pressure I'm under. David's family has expectations. Social connections matter in their world. Your wedding was sweet, but it wasn't strategic." And there it was. The truth finally spoken out loud. My wedding wasn't strategic. It didn't advance anyone's social climbing or business networking. It was just about love and commitment and family support, apparently worthless commodities in Emma's world. "Strategic," I repeated. "You missed my wedding because it wasn't strategic." "I didn't mean it like that." "You meant it exactly like that. And you know what? That's fine. You made your choice based on what was strategic for you. Now I'm making my choice based on what's strategic for me." "What does that mean?" "It means I'm done funding your strategies." She stared at me, and I saw the moment she truly understood that I wasn't going to back down. "Sarah, I could lose everything." "Then you'll understand how I felt when you decided I wasn't worth showing up for." After she left, I sat in my office thinking about patterns and power and the price of being reliable. For 30 years, I had been the person everyone could count on, the one who sacrificed without complaint, the one who fixed problems quietly and efficiently. But reliability without recognition becomes exploitation, and I was done being exploited. That weekend, Michael and I went to visit his parents. Over dinner, his mother asked how things were going with my family. "We're establishing new boundaries," I said. "That's healthy," she replied. "Every marriage needs clear boundaries with extended family." It struck me how different the perspectives were. Michael's family saw boundary setting as normal and healthy. My family saw it as betrayal and selfishness. On Sunday afternoon, as we drove home from his parents' house, Michael asked what I wanted to do long-term about the loan situation. "I don't know yet," I admitted. "Part of me wants to pay it just to avoid the drama. But if I do that, nothing changes. They'll just keep taking me for granted because they know I'll always cave." "What would it take for you to consider helping them?" I thought about it carefully. Acknowledgement, real acknowledgement of what they did and why it was wrong. Not just, "We're sorry you're upset," but actual understanding of how their choices affected me. And if they can't give you that, then I guess we'll find out what happens when the responsible daughter stops being responsible for everyone else's problems. Monday morning brought a new development. Dad called Michael's phone at work, apparently thinking he could go around me to reach the money. "She's being unreasonable," he told Michael. "Maybe you can talk sense into her." Michael's response was perfect. "Sir, Sarah is being completely reasonable. What's unreasonable is expecting someone to fund your family's lifestyle while treating them as unimportant." That afternoon, I got a call from Emma's business partner, someone I'd never met, asking if we could work something out for the sake of their employees. "I'm not responsible for your business decisions," I told her. "If you need financial stability, maybe you should have diversified your funding sources instead of depending on silent support from family members." By Tuesday, the reality was setting in for everyone involved. The bank wasn't bluffing about foreclosure proceedings. Emma's business accounts remained frozen. The house my parents had lived in for 25 years was genuinely at risk. And through it all, not one person in my family had offered a genuine apology for missing my wedding. They were sorry I was upset, Sorry the situation was complicated, sorry this was all happening now, but no one was sorry for the choice they had made to prioritize a Hawaiian vacation over their daughter's marriage. Tuesday evening, I was cooking dinner when my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize, but when I answered, I heard Mom's voice. "Sarah, it's me. I'm calling from Patricia's phone because you won't answer ours." "I'm answering now." "Sweetheart, we need to meet. All of us. We need to sit down and work this out like a family." "What family, Mom? Because the family I thought I had would have been at my wedding." "Please. Just one meeting. Let us explain everything. Let us make this right." I looked at Michael, who was setting the table for our quiet dinner together. Our life was peaceful now, free from family drama and financial obligations to people who didn't respect us. But I was curious about what explanation they thought could possibly make this right. "One meeting," I said finally. "Public place. This Saturday at 2 p.m., coffee shop on 5th Street. "Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much." "Don't thank me yet, Mom. I haven't agreed to anything except listening." As I hung up, I realized that for the first time in my life, my family was going to have to convince me to help them instead of simply expecting it. The power dynamic had shifted completely, and we were all about to find out what happened when the reliable daughter required respect before responsibility. Saturday couldn't come soon enough.